hour on the final day of the virtual roadshow, and we're excited to have Brandon White here, who is the in product development for Vanco. Going to go over Vanco's 70-volt audio solutions for your commercial applications. Hopefully, after this, you'll get some good insight of what Vanco can offer as far as 70-volt solutions go. We're going to be raffling off a pair of 70-volt speakers, so go ahead and hit up that Q&A box. I also have a quick poll up here. If you guys could take that, that would be much appreciated. The food court is open. Make sure you guys go in there and claim your Grubhub gift cards for your lunch while you are sitting through these trainings. Make sure you eat. I haven't really been eating, so maybe I should get one of those Grubhub gift cards. But anyway, check out the Vanco booth. They're one of our platinum sponsors. This is going to be recorded and on our virtual conference center, so you can view it after the fact for an additional 20 points. And of course, for you guys seeing this live, you get 50 points for being in here. So, Brandon, thank you so much for walking us through Vanco 70-volt audio solutions, buddy.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Definitely is important to eat, can relate to those days, certainly. So, but no, absolutely. Thank you for the time. And let me share my screen and we could dive right in.
Let's get going. Yeah.
Let's see here. All right.
All right.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yep. Really good.
Okay. All right, so just a quick overview about Vanco, if you're not familiar with us to begin with. We've actually been around since the 1950s. We are currently headquartered in the suburbs outside of Chicago in Batavia, Illinois. We're comprised of actually 6 brands of products and solutions. Vanco Evolution, which is our active audio video or HDMI distribution line. Pulse Audio, which is like our active audio solution brand. Beale Street Audio for speakers and higher powered amplifiers. That also includes we also have ProCell, which is commercial grade batteries, and Monster for power primarily, as well as some higher end audio cables. If you're not familiar already, we actually do quite a bit of QC testing in-house. All active products are tested twice, so when they leave the factory abroad as well as before they ship from our facilities. We have a 10-year warranty on Evolution products, lifetime warranty on all of our cables. And we do have quite a few different factory partners, as well as tech support via phone, email, or live chat. So we're going to dive in here. What is 70-volt audio? A 70-volt audio is also known as a constant voltage system. This is because voltage from the amplifier remains constant to all the speakers throughout the use. Speakers have step-down transfers, also known as taps. You can set these either by their wire configurations or just a simple dial. We try to go for the dial on our higher-end speakers, and we do have some cost-effective ones we'll show later. We say a 70-volt system here in the U.S. because that's what's predominantly used. You may see a 25-volt as well. This is more for hospitals, school intercom systems, things like that. But also 100 volts, which are usually typically more used abroad, in Europe especially. So, but we're going to focus more on the 70-volt side of it. But just if you see those, it's still within the same realm. So what makes a 70-volt system different from an 8-ohm system? Generally speaking, the audio that you're going to be putting in is going to be, or want to come out, is mono. Each speaker is going to have left and right channels kind of together in a mono setting. Whereas typically with an 8-ohm application, you're going to have left and right channels or multi-channels, such as in surround sound. Speakers are typically wired, are usually wired in parallel. They can be daisy chained, they can be home run. There's different taps depending on what wattage you want from each speaker as well. Some of the advantages. So 70-volt, we talk about that. A lot of times people have their minds go straight to commercial type applications, which is very true. But we also have 70-volt for outdoor audio use as well. Since you're not really looking for a left and a right or a stereo type of application, you want to have all your audio sound from a specific speaker in each speaker thereafter. 8 ohm is going to be typically for residential, but again, this is a very custom industry, so these are never set in stone. 70 volt allows for more speakers and longer cable runs. There's already a question here about regards to how far someone can run 70 volt. This kind of depends on the type of gauge of wiring, but it is traditionally much longer cable runs. I mean, depending on the gauge, I want to say we have this in our manuals. I want to say 16 gauge. You can probably go, several hundred feet rather easily. So just keep that in mind. So it really helps in those. That's why it's predominantly used in commercial applications, because you are able to get these longer type of cable runs, as well as outdoor audio. 70 volt solutions are often used for background music, public announcements, restaurant, bars, schools, things of that nature, or places where you need mass notification or paging. Some of the other benefits is in terms of using 70 volt, but also with architectural speakers, which is what we do mostly within our BO line. This provides a very cost-effective coverage of area. Put a speaker in a ceiling, it has an even dispersion pattern. You're able to cover a larger area with a single speaker. They're often much more discreet, obviously. So, having a little circle in a ceiling that can blend in. Our grills are paintable. It's a lot easier to not really add or distract from the design or the aesthetics of the room. Larger cover areas, again, because of dispersion pattern. And then also being able to avoid obstacles such as partitions, furniture, things like that. You're above, when you go in ceiling, especially, you're going above all this. So it kind of helps have everything be nice and evenly dispersed. So here's a few things in terms of what you want to look for when designing a system. Going into it when you're talking to your customer, so these are, it's not limited to this certainly, but this is definitely the meat and potatoes of going into the design phase. How many zones are needed? Are there any mic inputs? Or what are your other sources and how many are needed? Or do you need to page or duck audio, which means you're having that audio from a microphone cut in or overlay on top of what's already being played music-wise? Are there other specific needs, dimensions of the room? What type of environment is it? If it's an office, a retail store, is this really just more on the background? Or is this really kind of like a restaurant or bar where the audio is really going to be a focus of the environment? All these, and we actually have these available on our website, and I'll actually be able to show you later on. Great little questionnaire that we have that will be able to kind of help walk through those steps, kind of help narrow down what is needed for your customer. How many speakers do you want to install? So generally speaking, this can be broken down in math and a formula. I know we all love those, but essentially if you take the square footage of a room, you divide that by the ceiling height, which is multiplied by 2 and then squared, that should give you a ballpark of the total number of speakers. Now, this is always going to work out exactly as need be? No. You see here, based on a 10,000 square foot room with a ceiling height of 20 feet, they're going to say that you will need probably around 6 speakers to cover that area. Now, higher ceilings and wider rooms, this format isn't exactly perfect. You will get to a point where, especially with higher ceilings, that it'll say don't do any speakers or 1 speaker, where that really obviously is not the case. So it's good to use as a guideline, and we do have this available on our website as well. But it's just something that, don't take it for, put it down in pen, so to speak. 70 volt speaker placement. So it really depends on the environment that you're trying to do and what you're trying, and the ambient noise that you're trying to either cover up or create from the speakers. Generally speaking, if you use the ceiling height 2 times the ceiling height between speakers, this would be great for having just low volume, kind of background type of music type applications. If you have this is 1.5 times the height of the ceiling, this is kind of better for general coverage of music. And then if you go 1 times the ceiling height between speakers, this is going to be when you have lower type ceilings. This is really going to be where music or audio is really at the forefront of what you're trying to do within the space. So how do you wire speakers when they are 70 volt? All right, so a little different. So there's two different ways that you could do it. You could do a single run, as you see on the left. This isn't recommended because ultimately, if one speaker goes bad or if there's something happens along the way, then all of a sudden all the speakers thereafter are down as well. That's never fun. Easy to troubleshoot, certainly to an extent, because you know exactly what it stops. However, again, if this happens, if there's an issue that happens earlier in the run or this line of speakers after cascading, then everything else will be down. Whereas if you do multiple runs that go out of an output of an amplifier, that kind of helps minimize the damage, so to speak. I mean, it's still going to be just as easy to troubleshoot, but it'll definitely will be less affected if something happens earlier on in the runs. So choosing the right speakers, and this is where we get into our Beale Street audio line. The problem with typical architectural speakers is there's no back box. Sometimes you could create this based on the specifications, but there's nothing that's really in tune specifically for that. There are some that are out there that are just generic, you know, whether it's for fire ratings or whatever, but unfortunately that may not be really made for that specific speaker. It's just made to put on the back of the box. Different airspace in the walls and ceilings will lead to inconsistent and different sounds. As we see in this next slide here, comes out the front and the back. As you see here, you know, if you have a speaker in one portion of floor joist or attic versus a different part where it's higher, different dimensions, you're going to have different sound come from there. The dispersion is going to be different because in an open speaker with no back box, you're going to have sound coming from the front and the back as well, and it's going to be different based on the area that it's in. So to solve that problem, we have our patented sonic vortex technology. Okay, what we did was, and I was actually started out in the industry young, you know, doing a car stereo, you know, having a subwoofer with a box. You have to build a box to the dimensions that are specified for that sub. Well, what we did here is we took that box and we wrapped it around a speaker. Essentially, we have 6 ports that are on the front of the speaker that wrap around, providing 30 to 36 inches of airflow per port. So it's essentially taking a big area, keeping it consistent by wrapping it around and being able to put it in a wall or in a ceiling. What's great about this is it does provide rich, deep bass. It provides consistent quality of audio every time, no matter what you put this in, whatever wall, whatever ceiling, it's always going to sound the same every single time. You don't need as much, it's very efficient, so you don't need as much power for as much dB output as well. And you have a nice 160-degree rate of dispersion that radiates from the speaker itself. So overall, a very efficient, a very effective, and a very consistent way of doing audio or installing an in-wall speaker. All the sound is going to go where it's intended, and I can attribute to this. So Vanco, the headquarters, is actually based outside of Chicago. I live in upstate New York, and my office up here is actually above a sushi restaurant. I know when they open every day at 11 because for a while I heard their music through the floor. I told them about this, and I was very generous in offering them a solution so that their audio essentially would stay down below. This has helped quite a bit on my side, but it's not another perk about Sonic Vortex is all the audio, all the air comes out the front, so other floors or other rooms aren't going to be as affected. It keeps the audio where you want it to be. In the commercial speaker side of life, as a quick little hint, all of our 70-volt capable speakers in Sonic Vortex have a model number that has TIC or TU in the model number. They all have fluted injected polypropylene woofers, aluminum tweeters. You could actually switch between voltages, so depending on what you're trying to do. Like I said, most of them within the US are 70-volt systems, so we'll stick with that. We have these available in 4-inch, 6.5-inch, and 8-inch models. And we have ease data that's available on our website as well. Ease data is great because they provide SPL documentation showing how the response levels and frequencies for each speaker, as well as dispersion rates and patterns for each speaker within our line. So definitely great information to look at. If you're not familiar with it, definitely go check it out. Provided additional information is online, as well as software that be able to really dig deep into the specifications of these types of speakers. Now that's the Sonic Vortex. We also have a very economical line of speakers called Beal Basics. This is more of a value-based line. It is a more traditional infinite baffle design. We have these for 8 ohm as well as 70-volt speakers in 6.5 and 8-inch varieties. They all have Kevlar woofers and 3.25-inch titanium tweeters. Now in our Beal Basics line, a quick tip here, all of our speakers that are able to be used for 70-volt applications do have a V found in the model number. So keep that in mind when you're looking through our website, because I know we have quite a bit of different things out there, but if you see a V, that's going to be for voltage or a 70-volt system. Very popular within landscape, indoor, outdoor applications for commercial are our pendant speakers. We actually provide the hardware to be hung as a pendant. We also have the included surface mount hardware as well. And then we also have a landscape model, which we'll go over in a little bit here. They have a polypropylene woofer, 70-volt or 8 ohm with multiple taps, indoor, outdoor rated, come in black and white, 4-inch or 6.5 inches. So these are great solutions, especially in the commercial space, and a great value for the commercial space as well. Speaking of which, this is our landscape kit. So like I said, for 70-volt audio, it's not just for commercial spaces, but it's also great to have for outdoor spaces. Our LS kit-BSC is a landscape kit, which includes 4 of the 4-inch WP4B BSCs. So again, these could be pendants, these could be surface mount, but we also include our landscape accessory stake kit as well. It also includes a 10-inch downfiring black subwoofer. This thing can bump. So you have everything that you need here from a speaker standpoint to start your outdoor or landscape system. We have several different models of amplifiers that tie into this. We'll go into that more as well. But this is definitely a great foundation for those types of spaces. We also have a 5.25-inch on-wall indoor-outdoor speaker. Again, this is indoor-outdoor rated. It has 70-volt or 8 ohm taps. Pretty straightforward what it can do. We should be expecting to have 6.5-inch as well as 8-inch models of these as well. It's a great economical piece, whether you're using these inside a restaurant or outside on a deck or patio of commercial area. We have a lot of resources online regarding this. This is a nice little cheat sheet that we have available on our website for download of all of our commercial series speakers as well as amplifiers. Feel free to check this out. Don't have to go into these completely here, but we have, like I said, if you remember that our commercial series has TIC in the model numbers for Sonic Vortex and V in the model number for our Beal Basics line, you'll be able to get you to where you need to be. So we talked about speakers. At this point, what about amplifiers? I'm trying to choose the right amplifier. This really depends on the level, on the case, the environment, and what you're trying to achieve. If you want low noise, for example, there's taps that go as low as 1.5 or 1.3 watts. We have taps that also go up to 30 watts. So it really just depends on what you're trying to do. You determine the appropriate tap settings for each speaker based on the output. So for example, if you have a 100-watt amp and you're trying to do, we'll just say 10 speakers, you could set them to 10 watts. Now, you never want to maximize an amplifier. You typically want to have a plus or minus, or excuse me, you want to have about 10 to 20% headroom, just because you don't want to peak that amplifier. But for the sake of purposes of just as an example, You'd set the raw to 10. You'd be able to have 10 speakers to go up to 100 watts. Again, all of our amplifiers as well, very similar to our Real Basics, will have a V in the model number. So just keep that in mind. So any of our amplifiers with a V, our BAV amps, our PAV amps, those are rated for 70-volt applications. Types of inputs. Again, trying to figure out what sources are going to be inputting is very important. So mic inputs, often referred to as low Z or low input impedance inputs. These require typically would require additional preamplifiers. Sometimes these are built in. So our PAV 140, which you see here, this actually has a preamplifier built in, so you don't need anything external. But sometimes you do need those types of microphone preamps to be able to utilize that with any type of amplifier. We do have those available in our Pulse audio line as well. I believe we touch on that in a little bit here, but it's always good to keep in mind. Source inputs. What type of source inputs? Is this going to be a streamer? Is this going to be a computer? These are typically known as high Z or high impedance inputs, most commonly used for sources such as CD players, tuners, instrument interfaces, and things of that nature. So being able to know from the customer what it is that you're trying to push through audio-wise, that's what really is going to be able to help determine what type of amplifier you need. That being said, choosing the right connections. So there's unbalanced connections and balanced connections. Unbalanced inputs and outputs, typically known as line in or out. Simple plug and play, walk away. We've seen these before through RCA, auxiliary cables, things of that nature. Typically, they're more prone to interference, unfortunately, or grounding issues based on them being unbalanced. They're often better for shorter distances. Now, we do have products that are able to extend unbalanced audio signals quite a distance, as well as digital audio signals. So if that's needed, no problem. We do have those in our wheelhouse. But generally speaking, if you're just using a cable, these are meant for shorter distances. Balanced inputs, inversely, are definitely a bit more stable, especially when it comes to noise or interference or ground loops. More widely used in professional audio types of products and settings. Much, much better for longer distances, but may not necessarily be as plug and play. So often you'll see these as, there are plug and play like XLRs, but they're also often use Phoenix connectors or screw terminals to be able to make those connections. May not be as compatible for all devices, but again, there are solutions out there. There are solutions that we have in-house to help with that within our Pulse audio line. Multi-channel amplifiers. So within our Beale Street audio line, we have two in-house. These are our BAV 4250, which is 4 channels by 250 watts per channel. And then we also have our BAV 2500, which is 2 channels by 500 watts per channel. What's great about these is they have a good dynamic user interface. We'll see on the next slide here, but it allows each channel or output to be set to 70 volt, 100 volt, or 8 ohm independently or simultaneously. This is great because in a commercial setting, you may want to have 70 volt for most of your speakers, but maybe want to use a 4 ohm or 8 ohm subwoofers as well. So you could actually have your subwoofers on one channel dedicated. You could have your 70 volt speakers on another channel without any type of interference. It's typically because, unfortunately, 70 volt subwoofers, the transformers in those aren't really fantastic. So they do provide a great value being able to utilize a 4 ohm or 8 ohm sub in that regard. Completely IP controllable with drivers available on our website with a fully customizable UI. So looking at the interface here, just as a snapshot, basic input matrix. So any input could go to any output. You could also mix inputs together if you need to. Simple volume control. Mute. We have full DSP. So we have a DSP menu, which is kind of like more basic in regards to high pass filter, which just allows for the higher range content to pass through, low pass filters. We have bass, treble adjustment, as well as having a limiter option. Then we have a full EQ parametric graph as well. This really allows you to hone in your audio and how you want it for your space. Obviously, this could change along the way. So this really makes it really easy for someone to be able to log in and manipulate your audio based on either the current environment or how they want it to be in the space moving forward. So very flexible, very dynamic. Really excited. This should be growing. This line will be growing quite a bit going into 2025 by Infocom time. So definitely keep an eye out for this for additional amplifiers going up to 16 channels, as well as preamplifiers, which really help tie in other components and other types of systems. Single channel amplifiers. So we have a couple of these again in our pulsed audio line. In terms of amplifiers, these are more basic. These are 70 volt, 100 volt amplifiers that allow for mic input or ducking. Ducking again is when audio is being played or music. You turn on a microphone and speak, and it cuts off the music and allows the microphone to be used. This is great for paging and communication options with that. This has 2 analog inputs, 1 digital input, IR RS-232 controllable. You can actually cascade these to multiple units as well, have each one independently addressed so they don't bump heads through the control side of life. And we have these in a 1 channel by 40 watt, which is a PAV 140, as well as a 1 channel by 100 watt, which is our PAV 1100. Again, on our website, we try to have as much material out there as possible. This is another nice little cheat sheet for some of our amplifiers that we carry for both residential and commercial solutions. Definitely take a look at this on our resources online. This covers our Beale Street audio lines as well as our Pulse audio lines. All right, so let's get into some of the other solutions and accessories that can be very helpful when trying to design a 70 volt system. First off, tile bridges and pre-construction brackets. We carry those. What's great are these? These will cover both of our Beale Basics and our Sonic Vortex line of models. The TB65 and TB80 are our tile bridges, so perfect for drop ceilings that are 2 feet long. Used for most 4-inch, 6.5-inch, and 8-inch models that we carry. The Precon CB65 and 80 models are great for new pre-construction brackets used for new projects where pre-wires are used to mark the location of the speaker where it's going to be, at least in theory. We have these for, again, use mostly for most of our 4-inch, 6.5-inch, and 8-inch models, and available through our Beale Street Audio website. Pendants and surface mount enclosures. We have these again for 6.5 and 8-inch models, available in both black and white. These are indoor-outdoor rated. We have a wall mount bracket as well, but we have everything that's needed to use as a pendant included. These are great because when you're using these as pendants, especially, everything that you put inside of these will look the same. There's an application locally that they have 2 speakers and the subwoofer all in a line, and all of them look the same. Sometimes, instead of having, a subwoofer aesthetically stick out, everything will be able to blend in a little bit more seamlessly. So this is a great solution for that, and again, in black and white. And where we have a couple instances of where this is being used. One of them at a Little League field, one of them at a restaurant over in the UK, I believe. So aesthetically very nice, ties everything together, and again, can be used with both the Sonic Vortex and Beale Street Basics line of products. This came out last year. This is a single channel 100 watt commercial volume control. So this is up to 100 watts, essentially rotary as well as slider options. The rotary option is a 10-step. The sliding option is a 12-step and can be used with 70-volt or 100-volt options, um, depending on what you need. So nice, clean look, a little bit different from having the traditional um, stainless steel 70-volt commercial, a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, comforting with this decor model design.
Hey, Brandon, let's go through a couple of these questions real quick. If you got a minute, some of these may have been answered.
Sure.
Those mount enclosures that you're just on, fire retardant on those, fire resistant.
The enclosures. So these ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are actually not fire rated. These would be for external use, but they are IP. I want to say they're IP65 rated.
Okay.
So that's for indoor, outdoor use in
Indoor,
terms
outdoor.
of being weather, water resistant, for particles, things of that nature.
Did you go over a pendant sub?
We have so what's nice with using the pendant enclosures here, the PESVs, is you could actually have a subwoofer in there as well, because we do have sonic vortex subwoofers that are used for in-ceiling.
Okay.
So we actually use those in those applications. I believe I have a picture of them showing in a little bit here where it actually shows that in use with 2 speakers. And it's nice because it really blends in aesthetically to other speakers that are in the system. So
Let me go through. Did you go over control systems for the amplifiers?
we have drivers currently available for control for RTI, I believe URC.
That's a good question too. Is it the exact same vortex technology that are in the Resi side, or is there any difference?
Yes. The difference is really just in the taps. So essentially, all the things, all the TIC and TU models have taps on the front or the back to be able to change it from 8 ohm to whatever tap that's needed for your application.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We got through a few of them. You keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
All right. Sorry, I actually that was a lot better
Well,
the other day.
one of them said. I mean, this is more of just a broad question. I guess the benefits of using Kevlar. Is it for it's for sharper, more accurate sound compared to another material?
Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to break in because it is a more rigid material, but once it's broken in, certainly it is definitely quite a bit more impactful.
Okay, very good.
All right. Let's see here. Stereo to mono audio converter. Because everything's based within a audio system is mono based. Being able to convert mono to stereo, stereo to a mono signal is very helpful. So we do have this little guy here, and sometimes people try to cut corners. Depending on the type of source that you're using, though, you really can't cut corners in terms of splicing cables or things like that, unfortunately. So, so this little product, relatively inexpensive, allows you to really seamlessly integrate a stereo source into a mono amplifier or 70-volt system. In terms of the speaker gauge used, I mean, it really just depends on the distance that you're trying to accomplish. Because it's constant voltage, you can go a little bit longer on those compared to like an 8 ohm system. So you could probably do, I would say 12 to 18 gauge, depending on 18 gauge for shorter, 12 gauge, or excuse me, just really depending on the application that you have there. In terms of question, how much headroom do you recommend for amp for its best sound? Generally speaking, 20% headroom. So you always want to try to have 20% headroom from the max amplifier, from the max of what the amplifier can output. So if you have 100 watts, you want to try to aim at the excuse me, you want to try to aim at like the 70 watt mark. No, excuse me, the 80 watt mark. So I believe this is very available at 21st Century, and this is a great piece to have again because it seamlessly helps you integrate um, a stereo line level signal into a balanced mono audio signal or unbalanced. Different options for that. Microphone preamper, talk about this before. When you're trying to incorporate a microphone into an amplifier that's not designed for it to have that built in, you will need a mic preamp. This one here has XLR and quarter-inch inputs. Great for mono or stereo type of applications. It also has 36 volt of phantom power. So some microphones need phantom power to be able to be utilized within the system. This provides up to 36 volts of or power for those types of microphones. Mixing audio extender here. This is pretty unique to Vanco. I actually thought of this one being on the product development side of life based on an issue. So essentially my son plays hockey. He has a rink that whoever did the audio before, all the amplifiers and stuff are kind of hidden away, tucked away. So be able to do anything audio wise, whether it's for youth hockey, whether it's for the high school hockey team. Someone really had to kind of sacrifice themselves, sit in the corner, plug in. Bluetooth works great in some ways, but there's lots of people, lots of metal, lots of water and ice in between. It's not so the case. So what's nice is this is an application. We have a black box version, which is the PA-EX mix, as well as a wall plate version, which is more permanent solutions, the PA-WP mix, which allows a microphone and auxiliary input from like your phone or a streamer to be sent up to 300 meters or 984 feet to the receiver, which plugs into an amplifier. What's great is you could actually cascade these as well and have multiple transmitters or microphones that are powered and go to the amplifier remotely. You could have up to 4 transmitters going to one receiver, quite a bit of distance, and it's meant to really be plug and play. So anyone can walk into this, know to plug that microphone XLR based on the shape alone into the mic in. You have the auxiliary in, which everyone's pretty familiar with at this point, universally, even at an end user level. And you have a simple mixing dial. If you do all the way to the left, it's 100% microphone. All the way to the right, it is 100% the auxiliary audio input. And 50 right in the middle, it's 50-50. So nice, easy way to incorporate something like this. And we've seen this on a different location. So here's a brewery, actually, Artisanal Brewworks. They had a house audio system, and essentially what they would have to do every time they had trivia, open mic, anything like that, is they would have to have this guy bring all of his stuff, bring a microphone. There's wires all over the place. Made me twitch a little when I went to it, but the beer is absolutely amazing, so it made everything better. But this is a great solution for them because what the PA-WP mix did was it allowed this guy to just plug in a microphone, tap into the house audio system. Okay, that was remote. That actually not only expanded it from having the trivia only in one room, it actually helped expand the business and have that event happen in other rooms on the location as well as outside on the patio. So it actually literally helped the customer add more value to their business by having a solution like this. This is something they boast often. They put this often on their website and Facebook. I've been following them now for some time. They're also able to tap into when they have open mics or they have people playing audio there or music there, be able to tap in the audio system and again allow more people to enjoy it and then increasing and helping their business really. Getting to is shielded Cat 6 recommended. Everything that it really depends on the product. For the extender that we're talking about right now, it is not rated on shielded Cat 6, but if your solution or where you are seems like there may be some grounding issues or issues that would certainly benefit from it, then by all means, go for it. Here's just a couple of examples again at the rink as well as at a little league field. Something real easy to use. Again, you want the end user in commercial. There's turnover sometimes, especially in like restaurants, bars. So having a system that you don't have to re-educate all the time, depending on that, is always very helpful to ultimately the restaurant or bar owner. So something like this, they can plug and play. People understand it right away. Is perfect. All right, so some takeaways from here. Don't be afraid of 70-volt audio. Certainly, it may be new and different from what we're used to in the residential side of life, but it's often much easier. Essentially, it's math in terms of how many watts are out of an output of an amplifier, how many speakers do we need, and then what tabs do we set them to by dividing, essentially. The Beale Street Audio, we have Sonic Vortex patented technology, which helps in a plethora of ways, certainly. But we also have Beale Basic, which provide a much better value when you need those as well. We have 70-volt amplifiers within both of our Beale and Pulse audio line. We have some cheat sheets that are readily available on our website as well, and an absolute plethora of options within our Pulse audio line that really help customize that solution based on what's needed. And of course, we're always here to help, as well as everyone over at 21st Century. Always here to help. So never hesitate to reach out. I can provide my email at the end here. It's just brandonw@vanco1.com. If you have questions, let me know. We also have a project registration that we do through 21st Century here. So if you have any upcoming projects, certainly reach out about that. We have a little form you fill out, and it certainly can help you as well in terms of saving a little bit and along the way. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, that project registration link is on our dealer website on the Vanco product page. It would definitely help for what extra savings for future projects. So,
absolutely. Let's see. Outstanding questions here.
Yeah, you already got the shielded, right?
Yes, got the shielded Bluetooth options. Yes, we do have Bluetooth amplifiers with Bluetooth built in, as well as a Bluetooth receiver, essentially, that acts as a source. So we do have those options available within our Pulse Audio line. The source is the PA DT410. Then we also have 2-channel Bluetooth incorporated in-wall amplifiers as well. That's our
Who
PA.
asked that? Who asked that question?
That was Tom.
All right, Tom, you're the winner of the 70-volt speakers. Congratulations.
Winner. Congratulations. Let's see here. 70-volt wire. Indoor, outdoor use. Think mostly caught up. In terms of some of the flame retardant stuff, we have partnered us as well with a company called 10MAT. They actually do have fire rated products, especially for speakers, but beyond speakers for lighting as well. Those are available on our website. We have 2 different models, one for our Sonic Vortex speakers, which is a little bit larger, and then as well for our Beale Basic speakers. What's nice is it's a technology that when there's a flame, this is actually really fun to test on my side, to be honest with you, maybe too fun. But essentially when there's a certain level of heat or a flame, there's actually material inside that compresses inside and makes sure that keeps that void, because when there's a fire, the plastic will melt and leave, but it keeps that hole plugged for up to an hour. I think they actually have up to a 2-hour fire rating as well. So those are available as well on our website through our 10MAT tabs. All right. Any other questions?
Very good. Well, hopefully, if you out there, you answered? Yeah, okay, we got all that. Hopefully, if you guys haven't looked at Vanco and Beale Street and Pulse, especially the Sonic Vortex that Beale offers in a 70-volt application, this can maybe get you start thinking about possibly doing it. So I really appreciate Brandon walking us through the entire 70-volt offering. What is this QR code for that you have up?
All right, so on our website, we have, like I said, lots of different resources available. This QR code here is actually to see some of our 70-volt installations and case studies that we have available, multi-dwelling uses, hospitals, tailgating truck. So if you want to take a look at some of the case studies or AV success stories, feel free to definitely check out, scan that QR code to check that out. We have this questionnaire online as well. A great little tool. Like I said, all these questions needed that you could have right then and there feeds into kind of the project registration side of life, but great little tool to have when talking to a customer and trying to figure out what is needed for their application. So this is on our website as well. Then, of course, we have our LMS. This QR code here, if you scan this, it's completely free, quick, intuitive, and interactive modules. Gives you access to various content for Evo IP, 70 volt, all of our BL3 products, whether it's residential or 70 volt, as well as additional information as well. So feel free to check that out when you get a chance. And yeah, I really appreciate everyone's time. Think I got most of the questions here, but if you have any other questions, certainly feel free to reach out. I was happy to help.
And everybody says thank you. So since they can't talk,
Great job, Brandon. Thank you so much.
I'll say it on their behalf. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
But thank you so much, Brandon. Really appreciate it. Yeah, we have about 14-ish minutes till next one. So make sure you go to Food Court, grab your Grubhub gift card, get lunch before our next training. So I don't know, who do we have next here? Looks like we have, oh, okay. So we'll have Sonos next, and we'll see you guys in 15 minutes. Thank you so much, Brandon.
All right. Thank you.